If you haven't stumbled upon our channel before, we are Roots in Wales, Mychele,
Shaun,
and this is our campervan Nemo.
He's a T.5 transporter, short wheelbase. The van was bought already converted by a company in South Wales. Just told them roughly what we wanted. It was about 4 years ago we got it now. So yeah, we didn't do any of the work in here ourselves, but just before this trip we did some modifications, which we'll get to when we show you around.
So we actually just got back from a trip. It was supposed to be way longer and it ended up only being about a week because we are in the UK right now and England went into our second lockdown, so it got cut short and we had to come back home.
Yeah, we only made it like 4 or 5 stops into the trip.
Yeah, it wasn't very far, but we had a lot of fun. And now that we've spent more than a couple days in the van, we have a bit of a better idea of how we were utilizing the space. A couple people asked for a van tour, so we thought that this would be a good week to deliver on that. Because we just got back, the van's a bit dirty right now, but we just wanted to give you an idea of how we use the space and what it looks like when we're traveling solely in a van.
Cool.
Let's go. As you can see, there is not a lot of head roof, and bumping my head on this guy is the most annoying thing, so let's pop the roof. So this is the kitchen and kind of the main area of the van. And this is what it looks like when we are moving, when we're in transport mode, when everything is, you know, locked up and set up so that nothing falls or anything when we're on the road. All right, so this is our kitchen. It's pretty compact, but it pretty much has everything that we need. So the first thing we're gonna look at here is we have the stove top. So if you open this up, we've got our 2-ring gas burner, and in the same piece, it's all one piece here, we have our sink as well. And this is a piece from Dometic, or by Dometic. For our water, what we do when we're using the sink is right underneath the sink, we have this big jug here that we fill with water whenever we need to, really. And it filters up to the sink through a submersible pump. We also keep any pots and pans and like big kitchen items that we have down there as well. We have our cutlery. It's quite magnetized so that when we're moving about, it would never open accidentally. We have all of our cutlery here. And then we have our fridge. The fridge is by Waco, and you can open it up here. It's empty right now because we're back at home during the lockdown, but there's loads of space for everything you need. A little vegetable drawer. This is a freezer as well, just like that. Perfect for ice cream. Honestly, we can usually get a couple days worth of food in the fridge, which is pretty good, I think, because with such a small space, you wouldn't want to buy for more than that at a time anyways. In regards to storage, Nemo doesn't have loads of storage, but I do feel like we made what we had work pretty well. So we have these 2 top parts here, which this top part we really just utilized for cups and thermoses. That's pretty much it. And then in this one here, we had a lot of our dry food, which often overflowed into this one. But so we had a lot of our dry food here, which was good. And again, these kind of have that magnetic pull as well, so that when you're driving, they don't open up. We also got these little lockers off Amazon. They're the little baskets that you'd put in your locker like in high school or something, and they have the little magnets on them, and what we did was we just stuck them onto here, which one of them fell, which was not great, but the other one stayed on. We were able to put some spices and our soap in there, and it just kind of alleviates a bit more space, which is really nice. So this is another little sneaky storage space that the van has, and it's actually been really helpful. But the only downfall about this space is that nothing can really pass this lip, because when the roof is down, it would squish it, and then, you know, the roof isn't down properly, and that's dangerous. So, but we still have managed to put some really good little things up here. We have some clothespins for when we have to do laundry on the road and we want to hang stuff up. I have a little mirror here, which I like to use just for my makeup in the morning, or, you know, whenever you need a mirror. We have a first aid kit. This is also where we would keep our garbage bags, our like cleaning products, and we had like a roll of paper towel here as well at some point. Deck of cards, just like little things that are like the extra little things that don't really have a home. kind of live up here. All right, so the only other storage that the van has in the kitchen area are these guys right here. So this one is a nice big one, and if you have been following with our vlogs, I think it was either in episode 2 or 3, this was the cupboard that I forgot to shut this door, and so when we drove, everything that was in here ended up on the floor, so that was a good learning experience for me. So what we have in here is we have some bowls, little bowls like this, some plates, some small ones, and some big ones. We also have our trusty little orange kettle, which we use all the time. Let's see. There we go. Little orange guy here. We also like to make use of these pieces here. They're not the prettiest, but as you can see, the theme is orange in this van, and they just help from everything sliding around, which is really helpful, again, when we're driving and we're in movement. This just kind of keeps everything in place. This is everything that is kind of cutlery-like that isn't cutlery, right? So we've got scissors, spatula, lighter, tongs, potato peeler, all that stuff.
So this is the cab section. We have one captain's chair for the driver, and the passenger is a double bench seat. Underneath this seat is quite a lot of storage, so we just lift it up and tip it forward. We've got in here we've got the jack to jack the van up, but what we used this for when we were going is shoe storage. So we just filled it with shoes, and that kept all the mud and stuff in one place. When we first got the van, the radio was possibly the worst thing in the world you could find. So we swapped it out for one that could take a reversing camera. We've installed a reversing camera in the back tail light. So, and that we can turn that one on whenever we want from a switch here, so we don't have to put the van into reverse. So if for whatever reason we want to see behind us, we can just flip the switch here on the dashboard and it'll come up on the screen here, which is really good. Also put in a dash camera, which is hardwired into the car, so as soon as the ignition turns on, the dash cam comes on and starts recording straight away. So the double back seat in the van is actually a rock and roll bed that will fold flat, and then you've got sort of a skinny double bed. So underneath here is a little lever, just pull that to one side, pull the bed forward. For us, we have to hold on to the seat belts, otherwise the buckles disappear under the seat, which is a little bit inconvenient. And there's our bed.
And on the nights that we're feeling really lazy and we don't want to set up this bed, we have this bed. This bed is not nearly as comfortable because it is really just like this little pad on this like piece of felt, which is the roof. But it is really convenient on nights that we get to our destination really, really late. The bottom can be a bit of a hassle to unfold if you have a lot of stuff down there or if things aren't really organized and clean. So it can be really helpful in that regards. However, the only thing that's not great about it is that, like I said, it's not very comfortable. And because these are open screens, it can be quite cold in here if you're traveling during the winter months, and also quite loud if you're near a busy road because, like I just said, they're just screens, so it's just mesh.
So let's talk electrics. We have two AGM batteries, which are 130 amp hours each, which wired together, so that gives us a ton of power. While we don't have solar power, we only rely on our split charger and being charged off the mains. Ideally we want solar power, but when we got this van originally, we didn't ask for solar power, so they didn't put it on. Maybe on another van we do, who knows. So this is our power management system. So we've got circuit breakers for the mains incoming, and then our 240 volt sockets, which we have. We don't have an inverter. Those sockets only work when we're hooked up directly to the mains. We can choose which battery we want to run off. We only ever run off the Ledger battery, so we never use that switch. This one here is the water pump, so while our water pump is usually always on, it's handy to be able to turn it off in case of an issue. It's a self-pressurizing water pump as well. Here we have the battery indicator. While this is just a simple LED gauge, it doesn't really give you exact, voltage levels of inside the battery. So before we did our last trip, we installed the Victron battery monitor up here, which gives us exactly tells us exactly what's in the batteries, how much is coming into the batteries, how much we've got left on the batteries. It was a lifesaver when we were on our last trip because we didn't hook up at all. We just had to make sure we were driving enough each day. So here we have our light switches. So we have 2 sets of light. We have LED tape underneath the kitchen unit so you can see what you're doing while you're cooking. And then underneath here we have LED downlights. We also have a single USB socket, 240 volt socket, which like I mentioned before only works if we're on a mains hookup. For our last trip we installed these 2 12 volt sockets here which are linked straight to the batteries. So instead of buying an inverter we just bought adapters for our laptops that can plug straight into 12 volt, and that allows us to charge our laptops without needing a big inverter, which aren't very efficient. So in this larger cupboard is also sort of our wardrobe, but in the bottom of the cupboard is the hatch to get to the batteries. So like I mentioned before, there's 2 big 130 amp batteries in here, so getting them in there wasn't the easiest, but definitely worth it. We also, there's such a big void in here from this shelf down, we decided to add just a simple plywood shelf just to break up the space and be able to use it a bit better. 2 batteries are down here. Can't really see them, it's very dark and not easy to get into. So yeah, on these shelves we had our clothes in packing cubes. So Mychele's shelf, my shelf, just kept everything neat and organised. It's a reversing camera that's hooked up to the head unit in the front on that little toggle power switch. So to swap it out, I had to swap the whole third brake light out because it's not just this little bit, this whole assembly comes with it. So it's just pulling that out, and then in the back, trying to thread the cable all the way down here, getting it through there, and then getting it all the way to the front in a whole new cable and in a van that's already fitted. Not easy. So if we ever to do one again, then I would definitely put that in before we put any furniture or the floor in. So here we have our little gas cupboard. It's a little camping gas bottle that's hooked up to the 2 gas rings in there. It's got a little drop vent in there and a carbon monoxide alarm in there with it as well, just so we can be extra safe. This isn't a refillable one, like you have to take it to a shop and swap it out for a new one. I think if we were ever to do another van, then I'd definitely go for like the refillable LPG tanks. Just, you haven't got to take the tank in and out all the time, it's just much more convenient. So we have a tiny garage in this van. It's just enough to fit a few camping chairs, and we have eyes for Nemo. Just like big cover that goes over the front windscreen and the side windows, just gives a bit of privacy at night. They're bright. If you've seen it in our videos, you'll have seen them with the eyes on. They're bright orange. We have also a hookup cable, a little barbecue at the back. On our trip we did keep one of the paddle boards in here, so it goes quite far underneath the rock and roll bed.
Alright guys, so that's Nemo. We hope you enjoyed your van tour and kind of got an idea of how we lived for the week that we were away. Yeah, it's really fun, it's really great. I think the big thing about van life that you need to remember is that, you know, it is possible to live in small spaces. Shaun and I did it on the ship. We're doing it now. It's easy, you just need to be organized, and yeah, it's really amazing, and then you can go wherever you want to go. So there you go. Thanks for watching.